With all respect to the governor, I mean, he was basing his budget on revenues that he was expecting to come in for the rest of the fiscal year. He basically balanced the budget. He cut secondary education, and he also cut by 20% human service funding that the counties get to provide services to the people in the county. Now, that 20% cut totaled $168 million, and they were 7 different state line items, basically money for mental health, people with intellectual disabilities, and to some extent physical disabilities, drug and alcohol, and there was also a line item in there for people who were homeless. So what the governor proposed was cutting these by 20% and combining them into a block grant. Now, a block grant, the proposed block grant, the administration says allows the counties to have more flexibility in how they spend this money. In my opinion, the cuts at 20% would have been devastating to the people who receive services in our county. And I also believe that this block grant concept would also be devastating, and for a variety of reasons. Number one, here we are the first week in May. The administration or the Department of Welfare has no plan on how this block grant's going to work. Now, if we think of the concept of the block grant, I mean, he's combining these 7 line items. I think our biggest fear is that the counties will be forced to make decisions of moving money around, pitting the people who have mental health problems against the people who have intellectual disabilities, against the people who have drug and alcohol, against the people who are homeless, and making decisions, shifting this money around back and forth. Right now, they're line items. They have a certain amount of money to spend, and they know what they have to spend. So, I mean, there's no decisions on the county's part. I mean, they're spending this money. This block grant proposal, without a plan, 5 or 6 weeks away from passing the budget, we don't know how it's going to work, pitting these people one against each other, I mean, I just think it will be a disaster. I thought the plan was, my belief was that they were going to maybe try a pilot program this year, which would be okay. I mean, a few of these counties want to try a pilot program with the block grant, see how it works. The other thing I have a problem with, quite frankly, is that they're not talking to people who are providing the services in the counties and the families who are receiving these services. I mean, they're not talking to them at all about this block grant and how it would work and how it would affect them. I mean, we need communication, we need input from these people. I mean, most of these people are resourceful, they're courageous, and I'm talking about the families and also the providers. I mean, they're doing more with less. We've been asking them to do that for a long time. And I just think we got to slow down, try a pilot program, and I think it'll be a disaster to go full bore into this block grant proposal at the present time. So I'm committed to fighting against taking that out of the budget. You said about the Senate passed the budget just this week. There's a little bit of good news in there. A lot of the cuts were restored. The higher ed money was restored, and some of the other places were restored. They restored half of the cuts to human services. So the $168 million cut is now down to $84 million. But the block grant language is still in the Senate's version of the bill. So I believe that they are going to be, this is Wednesday, they're going to pass the bill today and send it over to the House. And of course, it's only a process. I mean, this isn't certainly a done deal. I mean, I don't believe there's any kind of agreement between the House and the Senate and the governor that this is going to be the final proposal. I think we still got a long way to go with this. And again, I'm committed, and I'm a Republican from the Southeast, and I'm committed to restoring all of those cuts and committed to doing away with that block grant. I think it's important. These are our most vulnerable citizens. We're not talking about waste, fraud, and abuse here. There's very little in any of these programs. This money is administered by the counties, by local people making local decisions. And right now in my county, Bucks County, a week ago, there was a waiting list just for drug and alcohol services. There were, I believe, 75 people waiting for residential rehab just in Bucks County alone. And I'm sure that's a similar situation with many of the other counties around the state right now. So we cut that even further. I mean, what's you talk about filling up our prisons. I mean, they're going to be much more crowded than they are right now if you can't get people help with their mental health issues and drug and alcohol issues. So.